Hi, I'm Alex from Wilkinson Cameras, and Canon have just added another lens to their hybrid series with the brand new RF 14mm F1.4L VCM. This is now the widest lens in the series, and it's particularly exciting because ultra-wide prime lenses at f1.4 are very rare, especially ones that have been designed to perform both stills and video of this quality. And with the optical design Canon are using here, I think astrophotographers in particular are going to be paying very close attention to this one. But before we get started, just a quick reminder that you can shop with us here at Wilkinson Cameras. We've got stores across the Northwest and friendly staff ready to help. So we've put this to the test for stills and video in a few different settings in both daytime and some low light city shots as well. I am going to apologise now because I haven't been able to test this for astrophotography. The weather just was not playing in the time that I had it, but do stick around because I'm still going to cover why this is a great astro lens during this review. Canon now have 6 of these hybrid fast primes, starting with this new 14mm, and then we go 20, 24, 35, 50 and 85mm focal lengths. They've kept the range incredibly consistent in terms of ergonomics and handling, the same diameter, very similar weights, and the same set of physical controls across the board. If you're a hybrid shooter or you rig lenses regularly, that consistency is a big deal. It means you can switch focal lengths on a gimbal or a cage without the faff of rebalancing every time, and your muscle memory stays the same from lens to lens. So let's start with the physical design. The RF 14mm F1.4L VCM is an L series lens with full weather sealing and a metal mount. It's built for professional use indoors and outdoors, which is great news for astro and landscape shooters who are often dealing with moisture, cold, dust, etc. Like the other VCM prime lenses, you get a step plus iris ring, an iris lock, and a control or focus ring, which is user selectable in the camera menus, an AF/MF switch, and a customizable lens function button that defaults to AF hold. Canon have kept the interface consistent across the whole family, and it makes swapping between them really seamless. This is the one lens in the set that has a built-in lens hood, and the reason for this is the bulbous design of the front element. So there's no front filter thread. If you do want to use an ND filter for video or long exposures, Canon have added a rear gel filter holder, so you can cut ND sheet filters to size and slot them in. For astrophotographers, that also opens the door to rear-mounted light pollution filters if third-party filter makers decide to support this. Now, despite the bigger field of view and the larger front element, this lens comes in at just 578 grams, which actually makes it lighter than the 50mm and the 85mm VCM primes, and a lot lighter than the EF 14mm f2.8 lens. And because it shares the same 76.5 barrel diameter as the rest of the VCM lineup, it behaves predictably on rigs and cages. The only real dimensional difference here is the length. It's about 112mm long, and that's because of the built-in hood, whereas all the other VCM lenses are about 99mm long. It's still compact for what it is, especially once you remember that the old EF 14mm f2.8 wasn't just a slower aperture, it was also heavier. So onto image quality, which is what really matters for an L series lens. Canon are positioning this lens for applications where edge-to-edge sharpness, low distortion, and accurate rendering of light sources are crucial. Inside, Canon are using one UD element, one BR element, 3 spherical elements and a fluorite coated element, along with SWC, ASC and super spectra coatings to control reflections and flare. But let's break that down into English. The BR element, or the blue spectrum refractive element, is designed to control axial chromatic aberration. That's the type that can cause purple or green fringing around high contrast edges, and that's especially visible around star points in astro work or around architectural edges in city and night photography. The inclusion of a fluorite coating is interesting as well because fluorite technology is usually reserved for Canon's longer telephoto lenses. It's an expensive coating to apply, and its job here is to improve contrast and clarity by controlling how wavelengths travel through the glass. And it also helps to suppress aberrations that are harder to correct in software. Canon are also specifically calling out suppression of sagittal coma flare, which is the big one for astrophotographers. If you shoot stars, you'll know what I mean. Instead of being circular points, stars at the edge of the frame can stretch out into little wings or comet shapes. And crucially, sagittal coma isn't something that you can fix after the fact in Lightroom or Photoshop. You need the lens to handle it optically. and Canon have accounted for that in the design. Paired with the f1.4 aperture, it means you can pull in more light and keep your ISO lower and shutter speeds longer, and at 14mm you can also push your shutter longer before star trails become noticeable. For Milky Way work and wide star fields, that's a very helpful combination. And speaking of aperture, it's using an 11 blade circular aperture, so you get much smoother, more pleasing bokeh than you would with a 9 or 7 blade design. You can see in these examples that the fall off feels natural and the subject separation looks great, although do bear in mind that at 14mm your classic bokeh look will be a bit harder to achieve than with a longer focal length. Of course, this lens isn't just for astro. Because it's rectilinear, it's also a strong tool for architecture, real estate, interiors, and certain types of documentary filmmaking where you need straight lines to stay straight, and you need to capture a large amount of context in a single frame. And because it's 14mm, it can also be used creatively for establishing shots, POV work, forward motion gimbal shots, and stylized wide angle compositions in video. With a stepless iris ring, it gives filmmakers the ability to change exposure without jumps in exposure, which is desirable when lighting conditions shift mid-shot, for example. Autofocus is handled by Canon's VCM motor, which we've seen across the hybrid prime family. It's fast, quiet, and importantly, very smooth, which is ideal for pulling focus in video. Canon have also kept the focus breathing very well controlled across the VCM lineup, which helps maintain composition and framing during focus pulls. Again, it's these little details that tell you Canon's target audience for this series isn't just photographers, they're clearly addressing cinematographers and hybrid shooters' needs as well. The close focusing distance is 24cm with a 0.11 times magnification. I don't think many photographers or videographers will use this lens for extreme close-ups, but it's nice to know the option is there and it definitely worked. There's no optical stabilisation in the lens, but at 14mm you don't really need it. With IBIS on many of the EOS R bodies and the inherently wide field of view, you can handhold very stable footage or run it on a gimbal without any issues. For stills, there's also very little worry about camera shake at this focal length unless you're pushing very slow shutter speeds. If we compare it to the older EF 14mm f2.8, this new RF version is faster, sharper, lighter, much more modern in its optical design and behaviour, especially towards the edges of the frame. Compared to the ultra-wide RF zooms like the 15 to 35mm, this 14mm prime should offer superior contrast and a more consistent rendering across the frame, all of the things that matter and why you would choose a prime lens over a zoom. And of course the big one, it's f1.4. Whereas the older lens was f2.8. Moving on to the price, so the RF 14mm VCM has launched at $2,399. Ouch. We asked Canon why the price point was so much higher than other lenses in this category. And the answer comes down to the type of optical design and the type of elements used. Canon has focused on making the lens as small and lightweight as possible while still delivering outstanding optical performance. The additional coatings that we spoke about earlier and the lens design and the fast aperture, but in this tiny body, essentially pushed the price up. The Sigma equivalent is almost double the size and weight, just for comparison. I think those optical designs and coatings from the Canon lens are probably going to outperform the Sigma 2, but I've not tested that. But also, it's not available in Canon map, so is it a question that we should be asking? Canon has effectively brought together its heritage, expertise, and the latest optical technologies into one lens. One key example of this is the fluorite element, which is typically reserved for selected super telephoto lenses like the 400mm f2.8, the 600mm f4, the 100 to 300 f2.8L lens. Very expensive lenses. Fluorite elements are significantly more complex and expensive to manufacture, but they play a crucial role in achieving exceptional image quality. And when you take all of this into account, the higher price point makes a lot of sense. I think it's justified. But ultimately, this is a specialist lens for specialist applications. If you need it, you're going to buy it. If you don't, you can look at the 20mm VCM, which is a good fraction less expensive. I've also reviewed that, so I'll put a link to that below. And speaking of the 20mm, I don't love wide-angle lenses. I don't know why I keep being the one to review them, but for some reason I am. I thought I was going to dislike the 20mm lens because it was too wide, and I ended up loving it, I really did. So naturally I thought I'm going to hate this 14mm lens because it's far too wide. But Somehow Canon have managed to sway me once again, and I actually enjoyed how exceptionally wide it was, particularly because the images are so straight. There is some in-camera correction going on here. I've spoken about this in previous wide-angle reviews, and you can see it here in the raw files, but the way Canon designed these lenses takes this into account, and you're still left with an immensely good quality image with exceptionally straight lines, particularly for such a wide lens. And that resulted in gorgeous images. And I think I actually enjoy again how intentional the image becomes and the challenge of trying to compose in such a different way from normal because it is so wide. I think Liv found this particularly too with the video elements, because there's just something so pleasing about such a wide angle in a video to set a scene. It would have been great if we could have captured the aurora, but I just didn't have the kit in time. But we did enjoy the challenge and the process of composing at such a wide angle. And again, we probably wouldn't usually take a wide angle lens just out and about in Manchester for the day, but it was great to test our boundaries and to be forced to think and act creatively. It was a great focal length for the velodrome because we could comfortably capture the whole track, the whole of the interior, and some unique perspectives. So from my perspective, this is going to appeal strongly to astro shooters, landscape shooters, architectural photographers, interior shooters, and filmmakers who want a fast and uniform set of hybrid primes, who want to add in an ultra wide angle. And that's the other interesting point with this release. Canon have now genuinely a complete hybrid set from ultra-wise through to portrait focal lengths. You can tell Canon are thinking about the creators who shoot both stills and video and who want lenses that behave consistently across their workflow. If you've already made your mind up and you're ready to buy this lens, you've seen this video and you want it, you can shop with us here at Wilkinson Cameras here in the UK. We've got stores across the Northwest and our friendly team is always on hand to help. I'll leave relevant links below so you can check out the latest offers and prices. So that's it for today's review on the brand new RF 14mm F1.4L VCM lens from Canon. Hopefully you've enjoyed our sample videos and stills from this combo and found this video helpful. Would you buy this lens? What would you use it for? Share your thoughts in the comments below because we try and get back to every one of you. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Also check out our 7 to 14mm fisheye lens, which is another new release today from Canon. Thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next video.